Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of The Other Side of Depression. My name's Hayley T Wheeler, and I'm going to share with you my journey through depression, all the things that we don't talk about, all the things I started to understand when I was the other side of depression, and all the things that are difficult to be open and honest about. I'm here to be open and honest. Thanks for joining me. So the first episode really is about looking at how it's so easy to not recognize that you are going into depression. So I had a battle of about 8 years with depression and had 2 episodes of postnatal depression prior to that. Quite a long time before that, really. One in 2004 and one in 2006. But it was in 2010 when I kind of first realized that I wasn't coping as well as I had before. I was angry, I was frustrated, but I was still getting through my day. And as time went on, it just became more and more apparent that I needed to fight harder to get through my day. And I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong. So I didn't ever communicate that with anybody. I didn't ever tell anybody that that's how I was feeling. But every day was a little bit harder. Every day, simple things that for many, many years, and for probably most of my life, I thought were easy, just became more difficult. And I didn't want to tell myself, I didn't want to admit that there was something wrong. I didn't want to tell people. I didn't want to reach out and say, in my head, I'm feeling like this. I was self-punishing all the time. I didn't want to admit to myself. So how was I going to ever admit to somebody else? So to some extent, to use the word of the moment, I was gaslighting myself. I was pretending I was okay. I got up every day. I did the same thing every day. I got up, I got ready for work and school and all the things that were to come. I showered, I put my makeup on, really robotically. I got ready for my day. I got the kids up, got them ready for school, took them to school, and nothing. I had no passion, no excitement, no motivation. I was really struggling. But who was I going to tell? Who was I going to advise that that was how I was feeling? I certainly wasn't ready to admit it to myself, so I wasn't going to tell anybody else. So I just, every day, I fought through my day. And as time went on, it got harder and harder and harder. It got harder to the point that in 2015, we'd gone to France for a holiday and they'd cancelled our holiday and I didn't know. We'd driven all that way. We'd split the journey in 2. We'd got the second destination on the second day or the third day, and they'd cancelled our holiday. And that was the final straw. And at that point, I still wasn't ready to admit it to anybody else, because within my mind space, within my head, within my toxic thoughts, it was not a nice place to live. It was not something I was able to tell somebody, because what if they reaffirmed that that was true? So I didn't. I just kept going. I just kept thinking, I have to keep going. And it just, every day from that day forward was even harder again getting up. So I just resolved harder to get up and get through my day. And it just wasn't a nice place to be in any way, shape or form. But from the outside looking in, people thought I was happy. People thought that life was going well. I had my own business. I was smiling all the time. I would still laugh and joke with people. I was doing all these things. I was learning. I was doing my PGC. I was doing all these things in that time frame. But all those things were to get me through my days. Everything I implemented was to get me through my day. I needed something so often to get me through the next 20 minutes, the next 20 minutes. had sugar cravings. I was using energy drinks. I was then using sugar in the afternoons. Anything just to get me through the day. But trying to understand how do you communicate that? Because I was telling myself how much of a rubbish mother I was, how much of a rubbish person I was, what was wrong with me. I was weak. I was just absolutely horrid to myself. So reaching out for somebody else to, or at the risk of somebody else telling me that that's how they saw me, that was not possible for me. That was not something I could put myself in. I was feeling vulnerable, probably ignoring the vulnerabilities or pretending they weren't happening as well. And that's what I was. I was busy pretending, implementing all these things. I was angry. I was frustrated. I'd have volcano moments when I was so full up I couldn't cope anymore. And yet I wasn't sleeping. I was tired, exhausted to the point that sometimes I would want to sleep with my eyes open. So for all that time, until sort of the October of 2015, so that's the 5 years where it was really, really tough. That's the 5 years where I just remember trying so many different things, trying to make myself feel better, trying to find relief from just the whole pressure of not coping, feeling like I should be coping, feeling like I should be something else. And in October 2015, things changed. I had this dark and devastating thought, which I'll talk about in a future podcast. But it changed my life. And it changed my life. Initially, it was horrendous, and then it changed my life in a good way because it motivated me to get better. I didn't know I needed to get better. I hadn't admitted at this point that I needed to get better. I just knew that I felt like there was no way out. So I knew that I had to do something at this point because the risks were really high. So I did. I fought and fought and fought. I had to fight myself. I had to fight the self-punishment. Nobody else was punishing me. Nobody else was telling me I was a rubbish person. Nobody else was telling me I was a failure. It was me. I was telling myself I was a failure. And the sadness was so overwhelming at this point. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who thought I was doing really well. So I had to keep pretending I was doing really well. And not, this isn't about blaming anybody either. And I want to make sure that nobody ever feels like I'm blaming anybody. This was the situation. I hid it from everybody. I hid it well. I was seemingly happy from the outside. On the inside, I was dying. On the inside, emotionally, mentally, I was at rock bottom. So in the October, I resolved to fight, and fight I did. I fought for 3 years altogether. The first year was focused on my son, helping him with his anxiety. And I'll talk about that in a later podcast as well. You've probably seen some of the stories on my podcast, or heard some of the stories in my podcast previously or in my YouTube. And I fought for my life, even though I was never suicidal. I fought to live again, because at that point I was just existing, just getting through my days, just about getting through my day. My days were long. They were 22 to 20 hours awake. And sleeping very little. But it was just such a lonely place to be. Even the battle was lonely, because even then I didn't really admit it was depression till after. But the whole process of getting better, I enjoyed the process of getting better. And I can look back now without getting stuck in all the emotional impact of what was going on for me back then. But it was tough slog to get better. And fight I did. I fought on the days. There were days when it was 10 steps backwards, and maybe no steps forward, but sometimes it was 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And it was a constant having to be motivated for myself, for my family, to keep going. And the only battle really was with myself. And I think this is the most difficult thing with depression, is that the battle is with ourselves. The battle is with the toxic mind space that we take up. The battle is with what we tell ourselves, how we think about things. The battle is with our behaviors, how we behave as a result of feeling depressed and being depressed, and feeling those overwhelming emotions that threaten constantly to consume us, constantly feeling like I had to keep them all away, just not to be drowned, because there were days when I thought I was drowning. I was drowning in emotional impact. I was drowning in these powerful emotions that threaten to consume and just take over everything. So I thought it was fighting for my life. And I did get to the other side of depression. I did get to the point where I could look back and depression was back there. And I resolved myself at that point, and I said I was never going back there. So everything I learned in the process of understanding depression, because my choice was self-development, and in that process of learning about my depression, me and depression, me on my own, all the things I understood or thought I understood about myself, the things I'd come to believe about myself, I fought to understand it all. And I still don't understand it all. I'm still learning. And that's the beauty of self-development. You're always learning. And you are probably you are the best investment you are ever going to make, whether it's financially, whether it's time. So from 2015 to 2016, I got my son to a point where he'd gone from 8 to 9 panic attacks a day to nothing. And then I spent that time on myself from 2016 to 2018, just battling for myself. So everything I'd learned with my son, I was able to put into practice and learn some more. And I kept learning. Learning was a savior in many ways. And I'll talk about learning becoming my coping strategy in a future podcast. But learning became a coping strategy, and learning about myself. There is no lesson on earth other than, for me, fighting depression, that was going to teach me the things it taught me about myself. And now I can say I am the other side of depression. I am grateful for having had depression. I am grateful for coming, just going through that darkness and hitting rock bottom to be able to bounce back up. Because I think I had to hit rock bottom before I could bounce back up. And I didn't bounce quickly. The resilience levels in 2015, I remember feeling like the first time I hit rock bottom, that there was just nothing to help me get back up. And I didn't really fight that was July. I didn't really fight from that point. It was the October that I started fighting. And absolutely worth every battle, every tough day, every difficult decision to get to where I am today. If this does resonate with you, please get in touch. Let's book that initial discovery call. Come and have an open conversation with me. Come and ask me questions about my journey. Let me find out about where you're at and how we can possibly work together. I'll pop the link in the description, and I'll stick a QR code on so you can scan the QR code and book. Because there is life after depression. Have a fantastic day, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. It might be evening for you. Have a good one, and I'll catch up with you with the next episode.